The Overholser Mansion, grand, imposing. This architectural marvel stands as a testament to a time long past, a time when opulence and grandeur were the hallmarks of the elite. Its towering presence commands attention, drawing the eyes of all who pass by. The mansion's exterior, bathed in the soft glow of moonlight, reveals intricate details that speak of craftsmanship and artistry. Each stone, each window tells a story of a bygone era, of a family that once called this place home, a relic of a bygone era. The Overholser Mansion is more than just a building. It is a piece of history frozen in time. The faded grandeur of its walls whispers of days when it was the epicenter of social gatherings, where the elite of Oklahoma City would come together to celebrate and make memories. The mansion's architecture, with its ornate carvings and vintage charm, stands as a silent witness to the passage of time, holding within its walls the echoes of laughter, music, and conversations that once filled its grand halls. Oklahoma City sprawled around it, indifferent to its secrets. As the city grew and modernized, the mansion remained a steadfast reminder of its origins. Surrounded by the hustle and bustle of urban life, it stands as a solitary figure holding on to its mysteries. The contrast between the old and the new is stark, with the mansion's timeless elegance juxtaposed against the city's contemporary skyline. Yet despite the changes around it, the Overholser Mansion remains untouched, a guardian of the stories and secrets of the past. Built in 1919, it was once home to Henry Overholser, the father of Oklahoma City, and his family. Henry Overholser, a visionary and pioneer, played a pivotal role in the development of the city. His legacy is etched into the very fabric of the mansion, with each room reflecting his influence and the life he built for his family. The mansion was not just a residence, it was a symbol of his achievements and aspirations. The lush lawns and meticulously maintained gardens were a testament to the family's status and their love for beauty and nature. Now it stood shrouded in unsettling tales, tales of cold spots, unexplained noises. The once vibrant home has taken on an eerie ambience, with visitors reporting strange occurrences that defy explanation. The mansion's corridors, once filled with the sounds of daily life, now echo with whispers of the past. Cold spots, sudden drops in temperature, and the feeling of being watched are common experiences for those who dare to explore its depths. The mansion's transformation from a family home to a place of mystery adds to its allure, drawing in those fascinated by the paranormal. And a spectral figure, a woman in white. Legend has it that the spirit of a woman, dressed in a flowing white gown, roams the halls of the mansion. Some say she's a former resident, sightings of the woman in white have been reported, her ethereal presence. The story, like many others, the mansion was a labyrinth of dark hallways and cavernous rooms. Each turn reveals a new mystery, a new story waiting to be uncovered. The dimly lit corridors, with their shadowy corners and hidden alcoves, create an atmosphere of suspense and intrigue. The mansion's layout, with its maze-like design, adds to the sense of adventure for those who explore it. Every room, every hallway holds a piece of the mansion's history, waiting to be discovered by those brave enough to delve into its depths. Each step inside a descent into the home's troubled past. The mansion's history is not just one of grandeur and opulence, but also of sorrow and loss. As visitors walk through its halls, they are transported back in time, experiencing the highs and lows of the lives that once inhabited the mansion. The creaking floorboards, the faint scent of old wood, and the dim lighting all contribute to the feeling of stepping back into a different era. Each room tells a story, each step a journey into the past. The air was heavy, thick with unspoken words and stifled cries. The mansion's atmosphere is palpable, with a sense of melancholy that hangs in the air. The weight of its history can be felt by all who enter, as if the walls themselves are trying to communicate the stories they hold. The fog that often surrounds the mansion adds to this feeling, creating an otherworldly ambience that is both captivating and unsettling. The air is thick with the emotions of the past, making it impossible to ignore the mansion's storied history. A chill clung to the place, seeping into the bones, whispering of forgotten tragedies. The cold that permeates the mansion is not just a physical sensation, but an emotional one as well. It is as if the very essence of the mansion is trying to convey the pain and sorrow of the past. The chill serves as a reminder of the tragedies that have occurred within its walls, of the lives that were touched by both joy and sorrow. The Overholser Mansion, with its haunting beauty and mysterious past, continues to captivate and intrigue all who encounter it. Anna Ione Overholser, Henry's beloved daughter, a fragile beauty. Her life was tragically cut short within these very walls. She had dreams, aspirations that were never realized. Confined by societal expectations, she yearned for a life less ordinary. Some whispered of a broken heart, others of a suffocating existence. Whatever the reason, her spirit never found peace. It lingered, a prisoner of her own sorrow within the mansion's walls. Her presence, a palpable sadness, a weight that settled upon the soul. Over the years, the stories multiplied. Caretakers spoke of disembodied whispers, footsteps echoing in the dead of night, doors slamming shut with no explanation. Objects moved, lights flickered. A feeling of being watched followed. One particular room, Anna Ione's former bedroom, remained perpetually cold, a chill that defied explanation. Visitors claimed to feel a presence there, a deep sorrow that seeped into their very being. The room stood untouched, preserved as a shrine to the mansion's tragic past. A group of friends, intrigued by the mansion's macabre history, decided to hold a séance. The mansion, known for its eerie past, had long been a subject of local legends and ghost stories. Whispers of tragic events and restless spirits had surrounded the old house for decades, drawing the curious and the brave to its doors. They sought to make contact with the other side, to speak with the spirits that haunted the mansion. The friends gathered around a large antique table in the parlor, their hands joined in a circle. The room was filled with an air of anticipation and fear, as each person silently wondered what they might encounter. The old house seemed to hold its breath as they gathered in the dimly lit parlor. The walls, adorned with faded portraits and dusty mirrors, seemed to watch them with unseen eyes. The flickering candlelight added to the atmosphere, casting eerie shadows that danced across the room. Tension crackled in the air, thick and suffocating. The air grew cold. Each breath they took felt heavy, as if the very atmosphere was pressing down on them. The friends exchanged nervous glances, their faces pale in the dim light. They could feel the presence of something unseen, something that watched and waited. The candlelight flickered, casting long, dancing shadows on the walls. The shadows seemed to move with a life of their own, twisting and turning in the dim light. The friends tightened their grip on each other's hands, their hearts pounding in their chests. They knew that something was about to happen, something that would change their lives forever. Then a low hum resonated through the room, growing louder, more insistent. It was a sound that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere, filling the space with an otherworldly vibration. The friends looked around in alarm, their eyes wide with fear. The hum grew louder, more intense, until it felt like the very walls were vibrating with the sound. An unseen force was present. They could feel it in the air, a tangible presence that seemed to move around them, watching, waiting. The friends held their breath, their hearts racing as they waited for what would come next. The séance had begun, and there was no turning back. Suddenly, a figure materialized in the center of the room, a woman, ethereal and translucent, draped in a flowing white gown. Her face, obscured by shadow, held an expression of profound sadness. Terror froze the group in place. "Anna," one of the friends whispered, his voice trembling. The figure turned slowly, her sorrowful gaze sweeping over the group. A bone-chilling cold spread from her, seeping into their very marrow. This was no parlor trick, this was real. The woman in white glided towards them, her hand outstretched. Her movements were almost hypnotic, as if she were floating on air, defying the very laws of nature. The air around her seemed to shimmer with an otherworldly glow, casting eerie shadows on the walls. Each step she took was silent, yet it echoed in their minds, filling them with a sense of impending doom. As she approached, the shadows seemed to part, revealing her face. It was a face that held 1,000 untold stories, each more tragic than the last. Her eyes, deep and hollow, seemed to pierce through their very souls, searching for something. The room grew colder, and the air felt heavy, as if the very essence of despair had descended upon them. It wasn't the face of a grieving spirit, but one contorted in rage, her features twisted with an anger so intense it was almost palpable. The lines on her face deepened, and her eyes blazed with a fury that seemed to consume everything in its path. This was not a spirit seeking solace. It was one seeking vengeance. Her eyes burned with an icy fire. They glowed with an unnatural light, casting a chilling aura around her. It was as if her very soul was on fire, driven by an unquenchable thirst for retribution. The intensity of her gaze was overwhelming, and it felt as though she could see into the deepest recesses of their hearts, uncovering their darkest secrets. The hum intensified, morphing into a blood-curdling shriek that seemed to claw at the edges of their sanity. It was a sound unlike any other, a mix of sorrow and rage echoing through the room. The walls seemed to vibrate with the intensity of the noise, and it felt as though the very fabric of reality was being torn apart. Their ears rang, and their minds struggled to comprehend the sheer terror of the sound. The room plunged into an icy darkness. Panic seized them. The sudden absence of light was suffocating, and the cold seemed to seep into their bones. They could hear their own frantic breaths, the pounding of their hearts, and the whispers of fear that filled the air. It was as if the darkness itself was alive, wrapping around them, squeezing the very life out of them. They had not contacted the spirit of a victim, but something far more sinister. This was an entity born of malice and hatred, a dark force that thrived on fear and despair. It was a presence that had been lurking in the shadows, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And now, it had found them, and there was no escape. They scrambled to escape, but the door was locked. They were trapped. The air crackled with malevolent energy. The temperature plummeted. The shriek continued, echoing in their ears, a symphony of their impending doom. The woman in white, no longer a vision of sorrow, but a harbinger of their destruction, advanced. Her touch, they instinctively knew, would be their end. They huddled together, a small island of warmth in the icy grip of the supernatural. Just when the shriek reached its terrifying crescendo, it abruptly stopped. The room was plunged into an eerie silence. The oppressive weight lifted, the door creaked open. They didn't hesitate. They fled, their panicked breaths the only sound in the sudden quiet. Out of the room, out of the mansion, back into the safety of the night where the city lights held the darkness